love that? I'm loving on my home. Today I'm going to love my home. I love my home. Okay, here we go. I think that was pretty good for the first time I have ever used the hedger. And last year we paid, oh gosh, every time it was all done it was like $1,500 or something to get everything trimmed up. I can't afford to do that. So the answer is for me to learn to do it. That's where you look. 1, 2, 3. Road trip! So are you Grandpa?
That's me.
This is really cool. You don't mind if I video? Oh. I wish you were close to us. Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, all we have is Barnes & Noble. And DI, which is already super picked over. Oh, this is such an awesome place. Is there something more upstairs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
There's a butler. It is so fun.
Well, that's what I want. I want some fun.
I come here every week.
Oh, do you?
Yes. Every week. But I have to give myself a limit.
That was less than you get paid DI.
Oh, I hear it. That's why I come here first and then I go.
Okay, let's go. This place has got high prices.
Okay, Utah.
Thank you. It's over further that way than this way. In an earlier video, I explained how I found out that I had so much dust in our house and in my bedroom, and it was preventing me from sleeping well. And a lot of it was due to these curtains I had. I got them in 2008 because this is such a strange situation here. With two sliding doors next to each other, I hadn't been able to find any just to buy. So those curtains cost $1,000, and the lady who made them put two fabrics together, one that couldn't be dry cleaned and one that couldn't be washed. So I had kind of a mess in my hand. I tried vacuuming them and it didn't work. Well, they made me sick. So I've been living without any curtains, and I've gotten used to waking up with the sun. That's actually been really helpful to me. But it's at night. Oh my goodness, I feel like the whole world can see me. I needed some privacy. So I searched really hard, and I found these curtains on Amazon, and they only cost $93, including tax. And then this curtain rod. It was kind of a hard situation. I just love these curtains, and they come in a lot of different colors, but the most important thing, they're washable. I can keep them clean. So, big win. Big win. Here's the fun part. I'm going to show you some really cool advice and comments we've got from our viewers, as well as answer a few questions. Wendy Escaline 8765 said, I've had to prioritize the few things that matter the most. In the past, when I would have good days, I would think, oh great, I feel good. I better get as much done as I can. It took me a long time to realize that I was stretching too far, too fast. Now I try to keep it steady and then slowly expand and sometimes stop before I feel I need to. It's helped me make a lot of progress, so I find that it really hones in what matters most. Surprising some things that don't make the list that you thought were such a big deal. That's such good advice, Wendy. That's a problem I have too. Knowing when to stop. I'm really glad that you figured that out. Sandy H. 8755 said, one thing that has really helped me is decluttering. My house was overwhelming, but I've gotten rid of so much. I have used the Dana K. White No Mess Decluttering to help me. The great thing is that I can work in small chunks and don't leave a mess behind. That is a great book, Sandy. I love it. In fact, I made a video about it. I'll put a link to it in the description. Tiffy's Grammy 3118 said, I can relate to much of what you mentioned. I'm approaching 61 and am a 3-year widow, trying to figure this new season of life, and lack of motivation is often part of it. But years ago, I realized that every small task accomplished is success. Some days, just getting up, making my bed, getting showered and dressed equals success to me. Also, making a list of things done as I go along instead of to do can make a great positive difference on any given day. Hang in there. First of all, I'm very sorry that you lost your husband, but I'm very inspired at the things that you've been able to do and what you've learned. And you're so right. Every little thing that we try equals an accomplishment. Thanks so much. In a couple of videos ago, I asked a question about what I can do to help improve my air quality, because I found that my biggest problem in not sleeping well was that I had problems with air quality in my room. Sandra Ann 4868 gave some good advice that I hadn't thought of. Certain plants are great as air purifiers, and I think certain cacti and maybe a peace lily. I really love that idea, and I'm going to do some research and shopping and find some plants to keep in this room and elsewhere in my home. That's what his aide 8908 said. Some things are indeed out of our control. As my dear little mother said, there's not much you can do to prevent yourself from oldness. I'm not overly old, but I'm feeling it, and I just can't do what I used to, and it's so frustrating. I love what your mom said. You can't protect yourself out of oldness, and you can't wish yourself out of it. I wonder if you're like me. When I see people who are really trying to stop themselves from getting old, maybe they're doing surgery or Botox and wearing all kinds of crazy makeup and, getting all kinds of things done. It doesn't make them look younger. It makes them, to me, look older, and it just looks silly. I don't want that to happen to me. I just want to age naturally and feel good about it. And I look back on my mom and my grandma. I never wished that they had looked younger. So I want to accept myself fully. Firewalker Barb said, I follow the Fly Lady system, but I do it a little differently. I have all of the jobs for each zone on index cards. Each zone is in a rubber band. At the start of each week, I pick the zone and start with the top card. When I do it, it goes under the pile. At the end of the week, I pick another pile. There are 5 piles. Then I start over. No need to finish the pile. It gets done eventually. I am 79 and very tired. You know, I love that idea. What she's done is she has 5 stacks of index cards, and each stack has what she considers a zone in her house. And she's got them with elastic so they're together. And then let's say this is the zone she's working on. Pick the card, look at it, and then she'll put it on the back or put it somewhere else. And that's what she'll do. And she'll work her way through the zone. But if she doesn't get all the cards done in a zone or in a stack done, she doesn't worry about it. And as she said, eventually everything gets done. Thank you so much for that suggestion. Susan L. DS6LC said, great jobs doing a brain dump on paper. I write everything down, and in time it all gets done, a little bit at a time. I don't have a smartphone, so I don't scroll. I think this contributes to my good mental health and productivity. Your home is lovely. I've simplified my decorations also, including Christmas. I change them each month. It brings me so much joy. I'm so glad to hear that somebody else loves decorating and changing out the decorations as much as I do. And you know, my smartphone does create some problems. I have got back into one piece of social media. I just keep thinking one more, and time has gone by. I either need to set an alarm or I just need to take it off and go through withdrawal, because you're right, it does take up so much time, and I do think it affects the mental health. It can get you kind of upset. You're my hero. Thanks for pointing that out. I needed to hear it. Joe Bridges S4006 said, I love my home for an hour. Put on my music, check the clock, and love on my home for an hour. That is enough. I call it home loving instead of housework. This change in words makes me happy. Don't you love that? I'm loving on my home. Today I'm going to love my home. I love my home. I'm going to do some nice things for my home. I think that's so awesome. Kim at home says, hola, being outside is therapeutic. I put my feet in the dirt. I think of my self-care as my whole self. Feeding my mind with the word of God, praying, rubbing my feet, hydration, to name a few. I know Kim, and she is a very inspiring person. If you haven't seen her channel, you ought to go check it out. But she's got such a good attitude about things, and I love what she is sharing about going outside and the Word of God and praying, and it's just great. Barbara Byers, 2721, said, sitting with your wee dog would be a boosting thing. They know and care. Your home is lovely. Love from New Zealand. Oh, that is so true. I've noticed that when I just sit and relax and pet our collie, it just feels good. And I love it that she loves to follow me around when I'm doing work in the yard, and she'll lay and watch me, and if I'm low enough where I can pet her, she'll come over and then I can pet her with one hand while I'm working, and there's just something special about having a pet. Okay, here are a couple of questions I was asked. In the Rockies asked, do you mind telling me where you purchase your spice holders and spice containers? No problem. I found them on Amazon, and I will link to them in the description. I have 2 sets of everything above my stove. You'll have to forgive me if I say this wrong. Veronica Frick 9219 asked a couple of questions. Do you involve your grandchildren in your decluttering and simplifying process, learning them how to cope with their stuff? No, I actually don't, but they have learned from me just from watching me, and the 14-year-old regularly declutters her things. She likes her room nice and tidy and cleared out. The 7-year-old is helped by her mother, and her mother every once in a while declutters mound of toys and takes out all the clothing and stuff. So while they're they're here, and I do watch them some. They are their mother's responsibility, and I don't try to be their mom. It's good enough just being their grandma. She also asked, you are also a busy content creator. So what do your family think about that big job? Are they interested? Do they help you? I'll tell you, they were highly interested when I started my channel, and I couldn't hardly keep the kids out, so I just went with it. And anytime they'd come along and wanted to be in it, we would just film them. And so as a result, we have some really nice family memories and some cute things. But the older they get and the more I do it, it is just such natural life to them, and they generally don't even want to be in the video. So when they see I'm filming, they'll go the other direction. Sometimes they'll just kind of walk through the background, and if it's appropriate, I'll keep that in. But the focus of the videos is really me and how I'm managing my life. You'll see my husband appear in the videos more, and every once in a while my sons will kind of walk into the frame. But generally, it's my thing, not their thing. Shannon Kelly Harmon, 4762, asked, can you meet up with your oldest son's family at Disney next time? Just asking. I know, family dynamics. Maybe your husband needs to create a community garden at the church or park. His talents could help so many, especially with raised beds, etc. So there are two parts to that. I'll talk about my oldest son first. And I think Shannon asked me that because my husband and I recently took my daughter and her two girls to Disneyland. My oldest son is married and has two girl sons, and they live north of us. He has a lot of handicaps, and as he's gotten older, he's gotten more, and he has a lot of trouble with his hips and his knees, and he just has some things that are going on with him that makes it hard for him to even leave his home. We try to get together with him once or twice a year. Like before Christmas, we'll have he and his wife meet us for dinner, and he actually has to take some medication just to do that. His situation's a little bit different. He's actually 100% disabled and has been he finally got it years ago, but he's been disabled all of his life. And then about the community garden, we actually live in an area where a good deal of our neighbors and the people in this area are gardeners. It's kind of a cultural thing, particularly if you were raised by a family or families that lived in small towns. It just is kind of something expected to do, and he's learned to do it, and every year he gets better at it because it's a real hobby and a love of his. And he built those garden beds from a deck that fell down, so he didn't buy hardly any wood for it. What he does is he purposely will grow too many of certain things, and then he'll take it down to the local food bank. I know in our church area right here, one year they tried having some gardening classes, but they weren't really successful because people were already in the habit, if they had any garden questions, they'd ask their neighbors or somebody in the neighborhood or the church that they knew does really well. My husband looks on YouTube. He does a lot of research and looking around and finding answers, and then there's a couple of experts in our neighborhood that he'll ask. That's the story of the gardening. Cheryl Lark asked, you seem so well informed about fibromyalgia. I'm wondering if there are any books you would recommend. Some of the information out there just seems too general to be useful. Yeah, that is a problem. I came down or was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 1989, back in the days when a high percentage of doctors thought it was a made-up thing, or that it was all in your mind, or that you were a hypochondriac. I actually had a doctor say I was a hypochondriac. Fortunately, the next doctor believed something was wrong with me, and he ended up diagnosing me with fibromyalgia. So that's been a very long time. Over the years, as more research has been done, there is more and more information and good information out there, but there is a lot that is just really general, and it's kind of meant for people who have fibromyalgia and have never had it before, and they just need a basic set of questions answered. Because the thing with fibromyalgia, there are some basic truths about it that they have discovered work. One is, and every doctor that knows anything about it will work most consistently and hard on getting you to sleep well, because to somebody with fibro, sleep is everything. If you're not sleeping well, you are going to have a harder time. That is the most important thing. Unlike chronic fatigue, they recommend that you do some exercise with fibromyalgia. You don't start out doing a lot, maybe 5 minutes, and see how you do and see how you feel. I have found for myself that if I'm not dealing with something like COVID or a really bad flare, the things that cause me to flare the most is when we have weather, particularly in the spring and fall, where we have these monsoons that run through and the air pressure just drops. That will cause me to really ache, and I just wait for them to go by. My husband says that I'm a barometer, and I've heard other people say that too, that they're a barometer. What they have found out about fibromyalgia is one of the reasons pain medications and like Advil and Tylenol don't work is because you're not actually in pain. Your pain center is not really off. It's just your brain is perceiving everything as pain. So it's just kind of your brain going wonky. And so that's why when I'm having a flare, even the thought of air going over my skin hurts. My husband touching or rubbing me hurts. I have to be really careful about what clothing I wear because the clothes will hurt. I feel achy like when you're coming down with the flu. So that's important to know. And I saw a specialist years ago. It was in 2004, and he now doesn't take patients because he really went into research. And he was one of the early ones that theorized that the fibro was caused by this thing in your brain. He gave me a medicine that's used for seizures, and I've been taking that medicine all those years. And then he gave me 2 medications for sleep. I take Ambien and I take Trazodone, and Trazodone is supposed to keep me asleep, and of course the Ambien puts me to sleep. I hate to even mention the medications because everyone will do different things. I have recently realized that the air quality and the dust was causing me problems, where I thought it was the sleep apnea, even though I'd had surgery to solve the sleep apnea, and my ENT was right. It wasn't the sleep apnea. It was the air quality. And I thought it was maybe my reflux, but my reflux really hasn't been bothering me, so it wasn't that. It was the air quality. So there can be all kinds of things to look at, and sometimes we just have to be investigators and do a lot of research and, watching videos. And I will link to some books that I've read, but you just need to know that to me, some of those things in the books are wrong, but some of them were written before some of the new knowledge was created. I'm going to link to a clinic in Utah called the Bateman Horne Clinic. They specialize in chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and long COVID, and it's extremely difficult to get into them, but they do publish a lot of good information. They put out a lot of videos. They have an email list that you can sign up for and get on, and they even have like get-togethers, online get-togethers on Thursdays, I believe. They talk about things and people get to know each other. You'll see a mix of people. I was attending those when I was dealing with the worst of my long COVID, but there'll be a lot of people who have chronic fatigue. And it's important to know what you're dealing with because the answers for chronic fatigue can be different. Sometimes you think, well, do I have chronic fatigue as well? And I thought that, but it was really my long COVID. And since that has been solved, I'm just back to my fibromyalgia, which for me is a little bit more manageable. Questions about it, or anything. I'm an open book, pretty much. If I don't want to answer the question, I'll actually say, well, that's one I really don't want to answer. But go ahead, all of you. If you have any questions for me, feel free to put them in the comments, and in a future video I'll answer them. And if you have any advice, put them in the comments for any of the videos, because I'm going to start making this more of a regular thing. I love you so much. I'm so grateful that you're here. I hope I see you again. Bye.